Greetings aspirants. Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by Civic Center IAS, where we try to discuss important and relevant articles from the UPSC CSE Prelims perspective from the Hindu, Indian Express and the PIB. These are the list of articles we are going to discuss today. Coming to the first article, the Supreme Court on Friday dismissed petitions filed in 2023 which challenged provisions of a law for 33% of reservation for women in the Lok Sabha, the upper houses of the state legislatures and the Delhi Legislative Assembly. So, now in this context, let's discuss about the Women's Reservation Bill. The Women's Reservation Bill aims to reserve 33% of the seats in Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies for women. While the bill has been passed, several steps remain before it can be implemented. So, now looking at its key features, the reservation scope, the Act reserves 1/3 of all seats for women in Lok Sabha, State Legislative Assemblies, Legislative Assembly of the National Capital Territory of Delhi. It also includes seats reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And looking at its effective timeline, the reservation will commence after the publication of census conducted following the Act's commencement. Additionally, the duration is set for 15 years with possible extensions through parliamentary approval. And the seat rotation is as follows. Legislation by Parliament will govern the rotation of seats for women after each delimitation process. Now, the current representation of women in legislature is as in the 17th Lok Sabha 2019 to 2024, women constitute 15% of total members. And in the state legislative assemblies, women represent an average of 9% of the members. And the national legislative efforts, the representation of women in the Lok Sabha has grown modestly from 5% in the first Lok Sabha to 15% in the 17th Lok Sabha. And the constitutional amendments reservation were proposed in 1996, 1998 and 1999. However, these bills lapsed when the respective Lok Sabhas dissolved. In 2008, the bill was passed by the Rajya Sabha but lapsed when the 15th Lok Sabha dissolved. The 106th Amendment Act 2023 marks the successful passage of the Women's Reservation Bill, and the recommendations and parliamentary scrutiny are: looking at the past committees, the 1996 bill was received by a joint committee of parliament. The 2008 bill was scrutinized by the Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievances, Law and Justice, and the recommendations were: consider reservation for other backward classes at an appropriate time, implement reservations for 15 years with periodic reviews. Additionally, develop a mechanism to reserve seats for women in the Rajya Sabha and state legislative councils. And the conditions for implementations were: the reservation will be implemented after two key events: delimitation of constituencies, which involves the redrawing of constituency boundaries to reflect population changes as per 2021 census, and 2021 census completion. The reservation will come into effect after the publication of the census. And the historical context is women's reservation has been debated since 1990s. The current bill replaces earlier unsuccessful attempts at passing similar legislation. Coming to the second article, Delhi's per capita income in 2023 to 2024 at 4,61,910 rupees was the third highest in the country after Goa and Sikkim, according to the latest statistical handbook. So, now in this context, let's know about per capita income. Per capita income is the average income earned per person in a specific area, example, a country or in a region, over a given period of time. This measure is commonly used to gauge the economic activity of a region. And the formula for calculating per capita income is equals to total income of the area by the population of the area. And what's the purpose and significance of per capita? The per capita income serves as an important economic indicator reflecting the economic well-being of the population. Moreover, it provides insights into the quality of life and the economic health of the region. Additionally, it is a useful tool for comparing economic performances across different regions or countries, thereby highlighting the disparities or the progresses. And what are its limitations? However, it is important to note that per capita income does not account for income distribution. Specifically, it overlooks inequality and disparities in how income is distributed across the population. And the interpretation is a higher per capita income generally indicates a higher standard of living. Nevertheless, it may not fully reflect income inequality or the actual wealth distribution within the region. Now coming to the third article, adding to the concerns expressed by the chief ministers of Assam and Arunachal Pradesh over China's proposed new dam over the Brahmaputra in Tibet, Union Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways Sarbananda Sonowal on Friday said that India's rights should be protected. So now in this context, let's look at China's Brahmaputra Dam project. China has proposed the construction of the world's largest hydropower dam on the Yarlung-Zangbo River, which is the Tibetan name of Brahmaputra River near the Indian border. This project, costing around $137 billion, is a crucial component of China's 14th five-year plan, which is from 2021 to 2025, and the National Economic and Social Development Plan through 2035. And looking at the key features of the project, the dam will be situated at a massive gorge in Tibet, where the Brahmaputra makes a U-turn before entering India. This location features a vertical drop of 2000 meters over 50 kilometers, making it one of the most hydropower rich areas globally. And this project is expected to generate 300 billion kilowatt of electricity annually, which is enough to meet the annual needs of 300 million people. The dam's capacity will be more than 3 times that of the Three Gorges Dam, which is a potential resource of 70 million kilowatts. And looking at its investment and technology, the total investment for the project is over 1 trillion yuan, which is $137 billion. It requires drilling 4 to 6 tunnels, each 20 kilometers long, through the Namcha Barwa mountain to divert half of the river's flow. And what are its strategic implications? Now let's look at India's concerns on the construction. India is concerned that the dam gives China leverage over the downstream water supply to both India and Bangladesh. Additionally, the project possesses a potential flood risk, especially if large volumes of water are released during hostilities or emergencies. The dam's location near Arunachal Pradesh border, an area of geopolitical sensitivity, further raises concerns. And the India in response also building a dam on Brahmaputra in Arunachal Pradesh to counter potential disruptions. So now they're looking at the diplomatic mechanisms. India has established the expert level mechanism in 2006 to discuss trans-border river issues. Furthermore, China has committed to sharing hydrological data on the Brahmaputra and Satluj rivers during flood seasons. And what are the environmental and strategic importance of this dam? The dam is a part of China's strategy for carbon peaking and neutrality. It will help combat climate change by reducing reliance on fossil fuels and contributing to China's environmental goals. And its strategic importance for China is the dam enhances national security, water resource management, and domestic stability. Additionally, it strengthens international cooperation, particularly in South Asia. The potential benefits and challenges for this dam construction are: the project accelerates China's development goals and ensures security in energy sector. It also boosts economic growth in Tibet through increased revenue and energy access. However, the project presents several challenges, including risks of ecological disruption in the Himalayan region. Additionally, it strains relation with the riparian countries, especially India and Bangladesh. Finally, the project involves complex engineering in a geological sensitive area which possesses technical and environmental risks. And now coming to the next article. Traditionally, the successor of the Chief Election Commissioner has been the next senior most election commissioner. For the first time, as per the Chief Election Commissioner and other Election Commissioners Act 2023, the net can be cast wider. So now in this context, let's look at the appointment of election commissioners. The appointment of election commissioners is governed by Article 324 of the Indian Constitution, which vests the power of superintendence, direction and control of elections in the Election Commission of India. Consequently, both the Chief Election Commissioner and the election commissioners are appointed by the President of India. Now looking at its appointment process, the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners Act 2023 outlines the current procedure for these appointments, and the selection procedure is as follows. The President appoints the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner based on the recommendations of a selection committee. This committee comprises the Prime Minister, a Union Cabinet Minister, and the leader of the opposition or the leader of the largest opposition party in the Lok Sabha. Furthermore, a such committee headed by the Law Minister is responsible for proposing a panel of names to the selection committee, thereby ensuring a thorough and rigorous selection process. Now coming to the next article. The last year, 2024, has become the first year to breach 1.5 degrees Celsius warming mark. The World Meteorological Organization said on Friday, average annual global temperature in 2024 based on data from 6 different datasets was 1.5 degrees Celsius higher than pre-industrial times, it said. Now looking at the key highlights of the global warming trends in 2024, global temperature record in 2024, the average global temperature was 1.55 degrees Celsius, higher than the pre-industrial levels, marking the first year to breach the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold, as reported by World Meteorological Organization. Interestingly, one dataset from the Copernicus Climate Change Service recorded a slightly higher warming of 1.6 degrees Celsius. This surpasses 2023, which had previously been recorded as the warmest year, with temperatures of 1.45 degrees Celsius higher than the pre-industrial levels. Consequently, 2024 overtakes the 2023 as the warmest year ever recorded. And looking at warming in India, in 2024, it has been noted as the warmest year for India according to the India Meteorological Department. However, it is important to note that the warming in India did not breach 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. Additionally, temperature records for India also not extend to pre-industrial times, and warming over Indian land is less than the global average, contributing to more regionally varied climate trends. And the significance of 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold is as follows. The Paris Agreement established in 2015 set a goal to limit the rise in global temperatures to well below 2 degrees Celsius, while striving to keep it within 1.5 degrees Celsius. Achieving this 1.5 degrees Celsius target would significantly reduce the risks and impact of climate change. However, it is crucial to understand that the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold is assessed on long-term trends over decades, rather than yearly or daily variations. Although daily or monthly breaches of 1.5 degrees Celsius have occurred hundreds of times in recent years, a single year exceeding this threshold does not signify a failure of the Paris Agreement's goal, as stated by World Meteorological Organization. And the incremental warming impacts every fraction of degree above 1.5 degrees Celsius, exacerbates the impacts on lives, economies, and ecosystems, underscoring the urgency of mitigating climate change. Moreover, long-term breaches of this threshold over several decades would represent a significant and worrying milestone in the ongoing climate crisis. Now, looking at the historical warming trends, the period from 2015 to 2024 now constitutes the 10th warmest years on record, illustrating a clear and consistent warming trend. Notably, every month since July 2023, except July 2024, has exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius mark according to the data from the European Centre for Medium Range Weather Forecasts. Now coming to the next article, the Centre on Friday, that is Jan 10, 2025, released tax devolution of rupees 1.73 lakh crore to the state governments to accelerate capital expenditure and finance welfare activities. Now, in this context, let's know about what is tax devolution is. Tax devolution refers to the distribution of tax revenues between the central government and the state governments in India, ensuring that both levels of government receive their fair share of nation's tax income. The tax devolution is governed by Article 2080 Clause 3A of Indian Constitution, which mandates the Finance Commission recommend the division of net tax proceeds between the Union and the states in a fair and equitable manner. This ensures that resources are allocated in a way that supports the development of both central and the state governments. Now, looking at its key recommendations of 15th Finance Commission, the 15th Finance Commission's recommendations cover various aspects of tax devolution with a focus on both vertical and horizontal devolution. Now, what's the vertical devolution and share of states in central taxes? For 2021 to 2026 period, the Commission recommends that states' share in central taxes be set at 41%, which is the same as the allocation of 2020 to 2021. This figure is slightly lower than 42% share recommended by the 14th Finance Commission for 2015 to 2020 period. Reason for the reduction. The reduction by 1% is due to the creation of union territories of Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh, which are now funded through central resources, thereby affecting the distribution to states. And the horizontal devolution allocation between the states. The allocation of resources between the states is determined based on the several criteria, each with specific weightages, which is 45% in income, 15% in population, 15% in area wise, 12.5% in demographic performance, 10% in forest and ecology wise, 2.5% in tax and physical efforts. The criteria ensures that the allocation takes into account a range of factors that contribute to the needs of each state, And the revenue deficit grants to states are, the revenue deficit refers to the gap between the state's current revenue expenditure and the revenue receipts, both tax and non-tax. And the recommendations are, the commission recommended revenue deficit grants post-devolution amounting to 3 trillion rupees over the 5-year period ending fiscal year 2026 to help states address their fiscal imbalances and ensure sustainable development. Now, coming to the next article, the quick estimates of the index of industrial production are released on 12th of every month, with 6 weeks lag and compiled with data received from source agencies, which in turn receive the data from the producing factories or establishments. These quick estimates will undergo revision in subsequent releases as per the revision policy of IIP. So, now in this context, let's know about the Index of Industrial Production, IIP. So, the IIP tracks changes in volume of production across Indian industries. More specifically, it selects a basket of industrial products ranging from manufacturing and mining to energy and creates an index by assigning different weights to each sector. The production data is then monitored on a monthly basis. This index value is compared to the value from the same month in the previous year to assess the industrial health of the economy. IIP serves as one of the prime indicators of economic development, measuring the trends in industrial production over time relative to a chosen base year. It reflects the percentage change in physical production within industries for specific year when compared to the prior year. The Central Statistical Organization computes and publishes the IIP monthly. Regarding the base year, it is always assigned a value of 100, with the current base year for the IIP series in India being 2011 to 2012. Therefore, if the current IIP is 120, it indicates a 20% growth compared to the base year. Now, coming to the next article, the 2 SpaDeX satellites that are part of docking experiment are now at a distance of 1.5 kilometers from each other. The Indian Space Research Organization said it on Friday. So, now in this context, let's know about SpaDeX. The SpaDeX is a mission initiated by the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) to master in space docking technology. This mission aims to demonstrate the ability of 2 satellites to dock and undock while in motion in orbit around the Earth. And talking about the importance of this mission in space docking technology is crucial for future space operations, particularly for satellite servicing and construction of space stations. Docking in space allows spacecraft to link up after being launched separately, enabling more complex and long-duration space tasks. This technology will also be integral to the operation of the Bharatiya Antariksha Station, India's planned space station. And the mission details are, the mission is scheduled for launch on December 30, 2024 as a part of the PSLV C-60 mission. The 2 satellites, Chaser and Target, will be launched into a 470 km wide circular orbit at a 55 degrees inclination following a local time of approximately 66 days. Each satellite weighs around 220 kilograms, with a primary objective being the demonstration of docking maneuvers. And the secondary objectives are, after the docking is achieved, the satellites will proceed to secondary objectives, such as transferring electric power between the docked spacecraft. And this power transfer is vital for future technologies like in space robotics, spacecraft control, and payload operations after undocking. And the significance of SpaDeX for India is, if successful, SpaDeX will make India the 4th country globally to possess the capability for in-space docking. Finally, what is docking? The docking mechanism features a low-impact system and is androgynous, meaning both spacecraft use identical docking systems. It is a peripheral docking system similar to the International Docking System Standard used by other agencies for human missions. The mechanism is smaller with 1 degree of freedom for extension, utilizing 2 motors compared to the larger IDSS with 24 motors. Multiple test beds have been established to test the hardware and software simulation of the docking kinematics, verifying and finalizing the docking approaches parameters. Now, coming to the next article, the rupee declined 18 pies to breach the 86 mark against the US dollar for the first time on Friday, as it failed to resist pressure from a stronger American currency and huge outflow of foreign funds. The local unit settled at 86.04 against the US currency. So, now in this context, let's know about the rupee depreciation. What causes a currency to depreciate? The value of a currency in the forex market is determined by the demand and supply dynamics. When the demand for a currency decreases or its supply increases relative to the country currencies, the currency depreciates. Looking at its mechanism, the currency value in the forex market is determined by the interplay of demand and supply. Specifically, a currency depreciates when its demand falls or when its supply increases in the comparison to other countries. And several factors influence the depreciation of a currency. These include the following. Firstly, the supply. The supply of a currency is largely influenced by the country's monetary policy. A looser monetary policy tends to increase the supply of the currency, leading to depreciation. Conversely, a tighter monetary policy reduces the supply, causing the currency to appreciate. And coming to demand, the demand for a currency is driven by foreign interest in the country goods and assets. High demand for exports and investments strengthen the currency, while low demand weakens it. And the reasons behind the rupee's fall are short-term factors. In short term, several factors contribute to the rupee's depreciation. For instance, global investors are withdrawing funds from the emerging markets like India due to shifts in the monetary policies and redirecting their investments to advanced economies. Additionally, central banks around the world are recalibrating policies after pandemic induced tightening, and India's policies are often perceived as less favorable compared to the others. And looking at the long-term trends, over the long term, higher inflation in India has played a significant role. The Reserve Bank of India (RBI) has maintained a relatively loose monetary policy, which has resulted in higher inflation compared to the countries like the US. Moreover, India's high import dependency on the commodities such as crude oil and gold increases demand for the US dollar, thereby weakening the rupee. Furthermore, the lack of sufficient export growth fails to generate significant demand for the rupee, contributing to its depreciation. And what's the RBI role in it? The RBI plays a crucial role in stabilizing the rupee. By utilizing its foreign exchange reserves, the RBI sells dollar to manage the depreciation. As of December 2024, India's forex reserves had fallen to $640 billion from $700 billion in September. With the intervention of the RBI, the rupee's depreciation would have been more severe. And the implications of rupee depreciation are import cost rises. Depreciation leads to higher import costs, making essential imports such as crude oil more expensive for India, and the inflationary pressures. These higher imports costs in turn contribute to domestic inflation, affecting the overall economic stability of the country. And then export competitiveness. While a weaker rupee can make Indian exports cheaper and more competitive globally, the benefits are somewhat limited by structural issues within India's economy, such as insufficient export growth and competitiveness. And what's the RBI's approach? The RBI allows for gradual rupee depreciation to maintain the economic stability. It carefully manages the depreciation to avoid excessive volatility, which could disrupt trade and financial markets. So, today we have totally discussed 9 articles. We will be back again tomorrow with another video. Thank you.